So Eddie, tell me, I know you for long time, and how did you start in music? What was your inspiration?
I started music when I was just a young kid playing bongos and conga drums and pots and pans.
Mm.
And I played just bongos, and we got some bongos from Tijuana that my parents brought me back in the 50s, late 40s, early 50s. And I mostly did art. I didn't know I was going to be a musician. And then as my life evolved into music, I start understanding music, and I never knew I'd be a saxophone player. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, one day in elementary school or high school, junior, real early in my life, a guy came by with a saxophone in my mom's house, but it didn't
Register?
register at all. And then it wasn't until I was living in Humboldt County in the woods. They had a big party, and everybody was drinking and I'd never drank. So, and this guy brought a saxophone, and he was passing it around the room, and everybody took a chance. Nobody could get no sound out of it. And when he gave it to me, I went bop, and this sound changed my life. That one sound was the same feeling that I had when I did art. And it was like, this is a new expression of art. This is how I can express art with sound. And I went the next day to a pawn shop, bought a saxophone, brought it home, got an album cover of this jazz player, and I figured out how I put the horn together, and I started playing. And I have not stopped from that day.
Okay. I know you're an artist. Where do you study art? Because you're in a first of all you're a sculptor, right?
Yeah. Well, my mom was an artist. I was an artist. I used to make art stuff at home. We used to take like a old 78 record, put it in the oven, and then it gets soft and make it into stuff and that kind of art. But then as I grew up and I went in the army, and I became a welder, and I started making crucifixes. I was obsessed with making crucifixes. In fact, I made a crucifix for Mr. Ferrari that owned Ferrari, Papa Ferrari.
Yeah.
He lived in my village in Italy, and I made him a sculpture. And then when I went to California College Arts and Crafts, and that's where I met Peter Vokas. And I don't know if you know Peter Vokas. Do you know Peter Vokas?
By reputation,
Yeah,
but never.
famous sculptor. And I graduated high school and I never read a book. I didn't know how to read. I couldn't read, because that's why you impressed me when you were talking about your kids and books. Because I couldn't read, because I was in a black school that they were doing experiments on.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't teach us how to read and phonics and all of that. They just taught us how to read pictures. They got sued for that later in life. But I went up to the college and I said, I want to go to learn art here. And they said, well, go get your transcripts. And I said, what the heck is that? So I went home, I got one of my paintings off the wall, and I brought it back to the college, said, here's my transcript. And they looked at my painting. Peter, come check this guy out. Peter came in to the office and said, I want him in my class right now. Come with me. I went into his class. That's when I found out Peter Voulkos and Peggy Voulkos lived 3 blocks from my house where I grew up. And so I used to go over to their house and they taught me more about art, about sculpture, about my first assignment was to mix 2 dissimilar metals together sexually. I was working in the shipyard so I could bring the best metal. I did my sculptures in brass, pure aluminum, not that cheap aluminum, but these aluminum bars that we can, because in the shipyard, they wasted so much material. You could build tons of stuff with the waste. And I would just bring that waste home and go there and make it and sculpt and learn how to make molds out of styrofoam and pour them metals and stuff. And most people didn't know I was an artist. They knew I played the saxophone, but they didn't know why he doesn't play traditionally. Because I've been taught by the greatest players ever in jazz world that taught me the secrets.
Can you say some names?
George Coleman, who when John Coltrane left Miles' band, George Coleman took over. I performed with George Coleman. I got the recording. Archie Shepp. Archie Shepp was on the John Coltrane album with all the great players. Archie Shepp. I learned breathing from Rahsaan Roland Kirk. Chet Baker was one of my first mentors. And all these guys told me was continue being who you are. Don't let the industry or other people change you. You are so free and out of the box. I've been out of the box. I can never get in the box. And because I learned to play that saxophone in the woods, in the ocean, with the birds, with the rivers. I used to go to the beach and try to outblow the ocean. That sound of the ocean. And I learned how the ocean gets real big and the waves go but it's in that quiet part that I'm learning to capture of that sound. And right now, I'm sculpting more, I'm painting more, I'm making, like you, a song a day. In the last year, I made almost 250 songs. That I got 250 songs I did on this little piece of thing right here.
Isn't that amazing how technology changed?
Technology.
When I met you and went to your studio, it was a whole room with speakers and everything. Now we carrying everything portable. It's so easy for us. So we were so very fortunate to live in this technology world. And so, as I remember, I don't know if you remember when I brought my son to your studio and you kind of taught him how to breathe when he was learning to play the saxophone. In that little exercise that you taught him, it kind of changed his way of blowing the horn. And so I was always happy to see that he absorb what you taught him. Same with my daughter when she was I brought her to your house and brought the saxophone. Unfortunately, she did not like. She did not continue with the saxophone. She ended up playing the tuba and the other instruments.
That's what, because what happens, kids go to school, if they got a music class, the teacher puts in there, the kid wants to play
A flute, for
a
instance.
flute, but the teacher wants them to play a clarinet or something else that they don't. My suggestion is the kids go in without the teachers telling them what and feel the instruments, because when you feel the right one, you'll know that's your instrument. It'll talk to you. It'll be a part of you. But if it's not, then it doesn't fit. But like me, all the instruments became crayons and colors in my palette.